Hello, Rum Tribe. I'm Peter Holland. I'm the Global Brand Ambassador for Boutique Rum, and I'm here today to talk to you about Secret Distillery number 1. Very exciting. Lots to tell you about. All about this one here. Let's put it here so we can remember about it. I've got a few little details and things for you. Let's put that there. I wish I was there with you, but right now we're in the middle of a lockdown, so it's just me, a webcam, bottle of rum, maximum effort. So we got, what do you need to know? Well, first of all, I guess you need to know a little bit about me. So as I said, I'm Peter Holland. I have the title of Global Brand Ambassador for Boutique Rum Company, but I am generally the rum guy at Atom Brands, which means that I kind of, anything rummy, I'm generally involved with it. I also do some brand work with another company, naming non-names. But first and foremost, I am of the Floating Rum Shack. So what's that? Well, that was a website I started back in 2008. Started a blog in 2009, all about rum. It was a little hobby of mine that I got into. My wife and I sort of traveled around the Caribbean, went to lots of rum clubs, spent far more time at Trailer Happiness than I can to admit to, really. Learning as much as I could about rum. Rum is the most fantastic spirit category in the world. So much depth, history, so much production styles, different production styles, so much variety. There really is a rum for everyone. And so kind of like I got the bug bit very hard on me. And so it wasn't, I guess it was always going to be in the stars, but after a few years of being a blogger, for want of a better word, I think I was always a little bit more than that. I eventually decided, you know what, screw the day job, left my job in engineering, so I don't have a drinks industry background, and went full-time in rum. So not long after, started working with some brands, and under normal circumstances, I'll be traveling around doing rum clubs and tastings and things like that. But see, COVID's got us all kind of locked down in a slightly different way at the moment. Hence, I'm very happy to be talking to you guys via webcam. So what can I tell you? Let me pull this down there. So Boutique Rum Company. We need to kind of set a little bit of a scene for that. So my job, as I see it, in the larger sense of the word, is to advocate for the category of rum. I know it's a fantastic category, but it is, I think, fair to say, one of the most misunderstood, underappreciated spirit categories of all. It comes with all manner of silly cliches, and so my job really is to help spread the message of what it's good, and to do that we need to change the language surrounding rum. So we don't try and talk about rum in the sense of white, gold and dark. We talk about rum in the sense of how it's made, where it's from, what it's made from, what the process involved with the production of that rum. So I think for me it's important that's a consistent message from me. So when Boutique Rum Company, or before it even launched, when Atom Brands came to me, so the director Ben Nelson came to us and said, like, would I like to be involved? It was going to be a resounding yes, because our message is very much aligned. The Boutique Rum Company, as was planned, was going to be a sister, brother, sibling to Boutique Gin, to Boutique Whiskey, both of which were well established and both recognized for being excellent liquid, first and foremost, untouched, no buggering around with. It could be a little quirky. Quirky's not a problem, but it's about delivering good stuff and educating where we can along the way. So literally, before we even said agree to do yes, it's like, how are we going to convey the message? What language are we going to use when we're talking about it? We don't talk about white, gold and dark rums. You know, color is not a flavor. We can't differentiate. Where does gold end and dark begin? You know, we're going to agree Pantone numbers, and you know, it literally makes no sense. Talking about a pot still rum from Jamaica, now that should make sense. This is kind of the same sort of language that you would use in other spirit categories, like a single malt from Islay, or along those lines. So very quickly we adopted what was our take on the Gargano classification. Is effectively exactly the same thing. It's just we didn't kind of go with full Gargano in terms of description. So instead of pure single rum, single blended, traditional and rum for everything else, we kind of took a more of a literal approach. So when you look on the label, it says there pot still rum. We're saying single distillery. Why? Well, because we will need to know that this comes from a single distillery. More about that later. We do have blends. Our signature blends up there come from 2 different countries in each case. And so, we've got to make sure the language is appropriate. Is it perfect? Maybe. We'll find out in time. Will it develop? Yes, it will. Absolutely, definitely. We've got beautiful label. All of our rums, you see in the selection there, all of our rums have a wonderful label and a story. Sometimes it's humorous, sometimes it'll be educational, there can be hidden meanings to it. So our sort of the way we present our rums follows exactly the same way that the whiskey and the gin ones that preceded Boutique Rum Company, and that there's a nice big lovely label. And then there's information on there. Me, have been sort of responsible for adding a bit more to the front of the rum labels. Yeah. You'd have thought after 7 months of lockdown, you'd be getting quite good at working out the mirroring effect of a webcam by now. There you go. We want to put a bit more on there. Is everything on there that we want? Well, maybe not quite everything. I mean, I would like a little bit more to be on there. But steps at a time. Boutique Rum Company fits beautifully into the position where we want to take people on a rum journey. You can be a complete novice. If you were a complete rum novice, you might find some of our rums a little more exciting on the palate than others. But we have something in the range, I think, for everyone, something from a little lighter. The only consistent thing I'd say is that we don't have anything too low a proof. Invariably, our bottlings are at high proof. They are all untouched in terms of any added sugar or flavorings. We don't add caramel. The only thing we do is we adjust the strength. And in some cases, we just bring it down from maybe an excessively high cask strength. Not always. Depends on the rum, depends on kind of trying to get a bit of a feel. Not everyone was born onto this earth drinking cask strength rum after all. So we have to kind of like cater a little bit for everyone. Plenty of other independent bottlers out there doing a simpler job and a more complicated job. Not many, those indie bottlers out there. There are a dependent bottler out there, shall we say, doing an excellent job of advocating. So we aspire, and this is the kind of thing we want to do. We want to help people on their journey. It just to recap, it was generally when it came to me, it was like, it's perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. This is a wonderful tool for helping me to spread the message of excellent rum. And the good thing is that it also is something of an education for me as well, because then, part of being this has been that liquid consultant before the brand launch, was helping Atom to understand what they got, to help them understand, to break it down, to make sure we end up with a selection, to make sure the language is appropriate. And it gets me involved with buying and selling. We do sell casks, buying and selling of casks and putting things in bottles and sort of how to get that message across. So it's a part-time role for me. Who knows where that might go as the brand starts to develop and find its feet. 2020 has been a weird one for many reasons. So we're kind of write 2020 off and come up smiling in 2021 in terms of growing and progressing. But we've got a bright future ahead of us. We've got some 30 odd batch ones already released. Maybe not as many, nearly 30 batch ones. We've got a lot more rum in cask. We've got big plans. And I want to keep it all moving forward. So what have we got? So a normal day for me really is about advocacy these days, as well as sort of buying new products and how to get it out there. So I'm very happy to have this opportunity to chat to you guys. The goal with rum is to educate and to tell people about the kind of like, I want Boutique Rum to help find the corners of the rum category. All the corners. We have some rums that are very recognizable, I would suggest, in terms of their country of origin. I mean, Jamaica, everyone's heard of Jamaican rum, but Guyana, DDL, Barbados, these are all sort of recognized kind of countries, but having rums from Australia, from Thailand, all around, from the UK for that matter, Europe and place. So we want wherever rum's being made, we want to be able to represent it in the Boutique Rum range. So my job will be done when we've got a rum from every producer, from every country, of every different style. I can sit back, safe in the knowledge of a job well done. So what can we tell you about this? So what can we tell you about Boutique? Let's just share a few details as we kind of go along. So let's go back to our presentation. So secret distillery number one. I'm hopefully you've all got a bottle of this, or at least a glass of it in front of you, when it comes to listening to me ramble on about rum. This is our batch 3. What I mean, well, we've had 2 other ones before. Secret distillery number 1. What does that mean? Well, this is a little thing. So we're all about honesty and transparency. We will tell you as much as we know about the rum. Honestly, we will tell you as much as we know. But in the case of some producers in the world, they don't license the use of their name. So whilst it's not a stretch to work out where this comes from, and I have it on directly from the export manager at Worthy Park that I'm allowed to talk about and mention the name. We just can't write the name down in any of our marketing materials. So the guys there that make this and then sold it to a rum merchant, of which we bought a cask in this case, they're very proud of their rum. They want people to know about it, for that matter. They want the word to be spread, but they're building their own brand, and so they don't want that drive to build their own brand be weakened by other people sticking their name on the bottles, even though it's the same stuff. Once it goes out the door at any kind of producer, then they're not 100% in control of it. We are completely honest. We do not fuck around with this rum whatsoever. Excuse my French. We don't want to mess around with it, but somebody could take it. They could add some flavor into it. They could add some sugar to it. And then it's no longer reflective of the product that comes from that distillery. Completely respect that, and completely would love to be able to get to the point where we are licensed for it as well. But we're a young company, and I'm not going to push just yet. So what are we seeing? So secret distillery number 1. So you might assume there are other secret distilleries in the range. We are actually up to secret distillery number 4, which is from Grenada in the Boutique rum range. Batch 3, so we've had batches 1 and 2 so far. Batch 1 was actually pretty much identical with this. It's in terms of age and ABV, and even production mark for that matter. Batch 2 was a Sauterne, a little younger, 6-year-old, but aged for a year in Sauterne cask. Wonderful, quite different. This is very, very recognisably Worthy Park in style. Presented at 53.8% ABV and say untouched in all other respects. So we've got labels. So we talked about labels. I've kind of alluded to this previously. The labels are quite important to us. It's kind of our thing. And before I joined in rum, I knew about the Boutique Whiskey Company, and they take this slightly sort of irrelevant kind of, well, look at us, we're having a bit of fun. Juice is excellent. We're having a bit of fun while we're talking about it kind of thing. And there's lots of sort of jokes and stuff on the labels. And this works nicely. It really does. It kind of attracts a different demographic of people. It's going to piss some people off, and it certainly did in whiskey. You get my colleagues have said they've had people taking time to come up to them on the stand at the whiskey shows and telling them what a bunch of arseholes they are for not taking whiskey seriously. I can honestly tell you, the guy that looks after so the brand ambassador Dave Worthington, Boutique Dave, who looks after whiskey, absolutely loves whiskey. But just like me, I kind of like, I want rum to be taken seriously, but I don't mind just taking just a little bit of time to have a little bit of fun with it as well. Life is too short to be serious all the time. So different labels in the range have different levels. So some of them are entirely out there and humorous. Some allude to things. Some will have a little bit more educational. And so there are people that quite enjoy looking at a label and trying to work out exactly what it says. Now, picture aside, just recapping. Secret distillery number 1, Jamaica. We always want to share where it originated from, and there you see it, pot still rum, single distillery. So some of the other rums in the range, we have a rum from Foursquare Distillery in Barbados, and that's blended rum, traditional blended rum. Pot column under the Gargano classification, it's a pot column still blend, the way we would list it. Single distillery is important because, in the case of like blended rum number 1, it actually comes from 4 different distilleries. So, so it's important to kind of get that information. The eagle-eyed of you will spot down there, we've got JMWP mark. That's the mark as it was sort of sold to us. As future marks go on there, the very first batch that went out across the range To be fair, came out quite quickly and didn't really expect there to be follow-up batches quite as fast. We've got follow-up batches. I want people to know that each of the batches that come out have the potential of being different marks. Why is this important? Well, hopefully, if you're a geek and you're collecting these, it gives you an extra reason to buy another bottle. You might have got batch 2, you might have got batch 3. That's fantastic. You know, buy them all, keep me in a job. That's the most important thing. You'll see bottle number of X of Y. In the case of Secret Distillery number 1, the one I've got here is actually bottle 4, amazingly, of 872. So actually, that's probably 2 casks we got from that one. That's the key details. What's missing? Well, it doesn't say on the front that it was made from molasses. There's a little bit of a key detail there. And it doesn't actually split down the years, aged 9 years, in terms of aged where. These some of these things are conversations in the world of rum that are actually quite important. I can tell you from my notes that this was aged for 5 years at source and then 4 years continentally. Now, there are plenty of people in the world that might say, well, then this is a 5-year-old Jamaican rum. And you know, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, because logically that's exactly what it is. But it's kind of like this idea of breaking down. So we're going to, you know, I should be pushing in future to make sure that there's any split in age is kind of shown more clearly on the front of the label. So you understand what it is you're tasting. It doesn't mean to say, even if it was aged entirely in the UK, it doesn't mean to say it's an inferior rum, or Europe, wherever it's matured. It's about your reaction to the taste. Do you enjoy it? What are we claiming it to be? In the case of this Secret Distillery number 1, Jamaica, we're not saying it's a Jamaican rum, we're saying it's from Jamaica. Semantics, maybe, but lots of these things these days are along those lines. But it's about enjoyment. You know, if you enjoy drinking it, then you need to know what it is about it that you're enjoying. And rums in the range, we've got plenty of rums in our range that are aged entirely. Yeah, they originated, distilled in Guyana, shipped fresh to Europe, and aged entirely there. And they age completely differently from the way they would do at source. Completely differently. Does that mean they're not delicious? No, they are delicious. They're just different. So, like a 20-year-old rum in Guyana, aged entirely in Guyana, would taste quite different to a rum aged in the UK. More often than not, more rum forward is that sort of that time in barrel has had less time to run over the top of it. So there's plenty of arguments for. I am very much on the side of the producer, and if Jamaican law said that you are not allowed to state any continental aging on it, I would be the first person to say, yeah, no worries at all. We'll just drop that. Till then, well, we'll see. I should just say that not all the decisions when it comes to the way the brands are presented are mine. It is something of a collaborative effort, and and there is a danger of confusing people straight off the bat. So yeah, what can we do? We have to also justify the value as well. So it's kind of like information on labels and what you show and like how you justify value. These are all quite important things. So this is an old rum in terms of it's had 9 years of maturation, but a split of origin. So the picture itself, what about the picture? Well, a little bit different. So this is kind of exciting. So this one, you know what? I can't see how on earth anyone would come up with this one like off the bat. When I looked at it, first of all, I didn't design the label brief for this. I have designed a lot more in the recent ones, but in the recent sort of era, then I think it's I've been involved with a lot more recently. Let's put it that way. Let's just I can't leave it at that one. And initially, a whole bunch were rushed out, and I think the guy that's come up with the label briefs for it, some of them are completely out there. I don't know what he was smoking at the time. Who knows? But it's pretty awesome. So with this one, it's really kind of what it does is it pays homage to the fact that Worthy Park are a true sort of field to bottle producer, which is a rarity in this world. I would say lots of brands out there are processing molasses and distilling from sort of first principles. Not many people are in full control of the crop from the ground upwards, and that's quite something. So what have we got here? We have got the volumetric outputs really of the distillery. I would say it's the older state. I don't know when, what these figures are based on, but it is kind of interesting to get a mental image of the huge amount of cane that it takes to make sugar, and from sugar then how much molasses you've got left over. And there, although it says white rum, which is in the second from the right sphere, obviously that should be clear, but it's reflecting a green background, so it's a green circle. So white rum and then aged rum. So I know the company themselves over the last few years have been going up and up and up in terms of production quantity and just laying down more stock. And I also know that Worthy Park are the most efficient sugar producers in Jamaica by quite a staggering distance. They really are a fantastic setup. So if you ever get the opportunity to go to Jamaica and you go and visit, check them out. They are doing wonderful things, and the future really is super bright for them as a brand. I'm so excited for them. Really couldn't be more so. And they're doing all this without compromising flavor or anything like that. It really is just top-notch quality, authentic rum. We talk about tasting notes. I'm an absolute sod for, I hate giving out tasting notes. I'm going to bring myself back on screen at this point. It's less important. I hate giving out tasting notes. Tasting notes for me are very, very personal things. If you get wet dog, that's fine. We can argue about, like, was it an Alsatian or was it a Labrador or whatever it might be. They're very personal. Now, I don't happen to have a bottle open of this, but I do have my little tasting note sample bottle, which is rather handy. These are fantastic. So I'm going to pour myself a little one there. I did come up with these tasting notes that you see on the screen. And if I was completely honest, if you didn't associate Jamaican rum with ripe tropical fruit flavors, then I think you've been drinking the wrong rum. Oh. Now, I'm filming quite early in the morning, but that's not going to stop me drinking some of this. So if you're fairly new to rum, I think it's safe to say that the best thing you can do is spend as much time nosing on it as you can. Don't forget to drink it. That's the whole purpose on it. But with every new rum you come across, spend time nosing on it. The more you can commit the aromas to memory, the better. And the more you know about the rum in terms of the production details, where it's come from, the better still, because you can make little cross references in your mental database as to what all this means. It's a tropical fruit. Honestly, it's like the kind of pineapple, mango, plantain, sort of bright green banana. Bright green, green and ripe banana. There's a little sort of almost acetone kind of vibe about it as well. This is not a small rum. What I love from this distillery is that they can put out rum, and they can put it out at, relatively speaking, mass market ABV, sort of 40% ABV, and it's still packed full of flavor. Yeah, most modern rums these days are being overtly rude to them, sugarcane vodka, and of very little in the way of interest whatsoever. Full cask strength Jamaican rum. Pot still at its best. Oh. So I don't know how your breakfast going. Cool. Wow, fantastic. Nice astringency with this as well. Time in oak, plenty of tropical maturation, at source maturation. The extra few years in the UK have not done it any harm. I wouldn't say they've necessarily changed it a bit. Maybe they've allowed the rum to stay a little bit more forward than rather than sort of take more of a backseat to American oak. Been aged entirely in American oak. Lovely astringency. Still going to that lip smacking. Lovely heavy rum. Heat, obviously. You'd expect a little heat. But there is that sweetness to it as well, and that timing cask is there. So even though, again, so relatively speaking, it's a young rum, 5 years aged in the tropics, I would say that a little sweetness from that bourbon cask is there, but it's rum. you do not miss the rum. This is not a rum that's all about timing cask to give it character. This was characterful rum before it went into cask, and timing cask has sort of gently added to it and crest it and sort of smoothed it all around the edges. Bear in mind, most rums, mass market rums on the are going to be blends of multiple casks, even multiple ages, and potentially different production marks. So for a single cask rum, maybe 2 casks in this case, based on the outrun, to be that complex, to offer so much, is just a testament to the team that made it. And it really is rather wonderful. Long fermentation, characterful cuts on the pot still, fantastic full-size pot still they've got there as well. One of the most automated pot stills I think in the world, if I understand them correctly, but still a batch process, still truly artisanal, still down to the skills of the operators to get the very best out of it. Sorry. Oh God, happy Pete. So what else can I tell you? So we've talked about the things that we've talked about a bit of the company. Company's all about honesty. I'm very much a rum guy. You'll get that from there. If you ever, hopefully we'll do more bottlings with you guys in future, more runs. You'll get to find out that I love characterful rum. I love pot still rum. I love heavy column rum. I love agricole rum. I love the whole lot. I'm very much a rum forward kind of person. I love to give credit to the people that make this rum. I love to help spread the message of rum. So thank you for being a part of it. What are you going to do with it? So drink it neat. Yep. Absolutely. Drinking it neat is definitely the way forward. If it's a little bit too much for you, I don't think there's any shame in adding a little water to it. Rum like this will easily take a little dilution and still be full of character. So if you're in that stage in your rum drinking career where actually a big chunk of ice, rum over the ice, drink it that way, no problem at all. I think it's quite safe to say that if you want to put it in cocktails, then absolutely fantastic. I mean, something or a mixed drink. I mean, if you have this with ginger beer, that's going to stand out. I mean, I don't drink ginger beer, not because I don't like ginger beer, but I just don't drink rum with it particularly. But making cocktails, now that is a thing. That's definitely a thing. And so the request was like, what cocktail would you make this? Would you use this in? I think my first and obvious one would probably be a Mai Tai. And because it's early morning, should we make a Mai Tai? I think it feels like a thing. I'm not going to open that bottle. That bottle actually is not strictly speaking mine. It's my little girl's from Rum Inheritance. So she's got a fairly decent collection of rums building up. I'll leave that one shut. I'm going to drink the rum from the sample bottle. So Mai Tai. My twist on a Mai Tai is a little simplified in respects to the way that Mr. Beach Bum Berry wonderfully brought the magic of the Mai Tai back to life in Remixed. I like to simplify in terms of parts, so it means that people don't have to kind of refer back to complicateds. So my recipe is half a part of orgeat, half a part Grand Marnier, 1 part lime, and 2 parts rum. And if I'm working with the signature blends, then it's actually 1 part of each of those, but 2 parts rum in this case. So a part to me, I'm going to go with 15. Let's go with 15. Mai Tai is basically a twisted up daiquiri. My friend Paul McFadden coined that term donkeys years ago, and I'm absolutely, the fact simplification. It's basically rum, lime, and sugar, but twisted up. So the sweet is adjusted. Now I'm using, in the case of, you would use, what did I say? Did I say orgeat? Triple sec, curacao. I like to use Grand Marnier. It's orange flavored instead of triple sec. $30, so 15, 15, 30, and then 60. Because I like working in big measures. Well, that's handy, wasn't it? That was handy. hopefully we won't have to do any more discussions on Mai Tais, because we haven't got any more rum left on that. So quick bump. I like to do the dirty dump approach of cocktail making. What does that mean? Well, instead of shaking it with ice and then straining it over fresh, because we're making making cocktails at home, then I tend to like to use the ice, and especially when I'm making tiki cocktails where there's, excuse me, lots of syrup and sort of heavy ingredients. I like to just use just the ice that I'm going to use for the cocktail. So what I've done, so filled it up with ice. So that's a good way of knowing how much ice you need for the dirty dump method. All the ingredients went into that. Right, let's use the microphone. Sorry, it's bound to have upset your ear rolls. There you go. If you've got time, garnish it. If not, just get stuck in. God damn, that's jeez, that's good. Oh my God. You know what that tastes like? It tastes like I'm not going to get anything done for the rest of the day. So I think that's probably as much as I'm going to be able to tell you about that one for now. Please do reach out in social media if you've got any other questions. You can find me at Boutique Pete on Instagram, Boutique Peter, or on Twitter. You can find me via the Floating Rum Shack or via the Boutique Rum channels themselves. Get a message to me that way. Please, Rum Tribe, if you want to keep talking about rum, keep the conversation going. I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you've got. Cool. Be cool. Have a great time. And we'll see you on and on, yo.